Wow, good evening, everyone. This is the Theory of Relatives podcast. I am Relative Alex.
Relative Nick checking in.
Relative Reg, what's up?
And your relative Derek logging in. So today we got a good podcast for you today. We have two topics, and the first one is how would you feel about your best friend marrying your ex? And then we're going to go into a hypothetical question. If you can go back into time, what would you tell your parents? What advice would you give them? All right. So let's go into this first question. So just recently, Portia was on the internet for marrying her best friend's, or I'm not gonna say best friend, her friend's ex-husband.
Um,
Go
getting
ahead.
engaged.
Oh, engaged after a
Mhm.
month. Sorry, engaged. After a month of meeting. How would you feel about your friend go ahead and marrying your ex? It's open to whoever wants to go.
Okay, I'm gonna be honest with you. When I first saw that, it kind of it hit me like, dang, how would I feel? You know, I think I'd, I'd be hurt initially,
Yeah.
but it all depends on where I'm at. Like for example, now I'm a married person. Like, dang, that's how it is. All right, whatever. But if that had happened 12 years ago, I would
Mm.
have been a knife fight in the street.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm talking like what I'm talking about, the Michael Jackson joint and beat it,
Just tie one hand together.
tie one
The
hand,
bandana.
foot to foot, the dance.
You're gonna have
There'd
them
be no
Come
fight to the
on,
dancing.
death. Like what?
There would be no dancing.
damn, damn, damn. Yeah, it would have went down.
Oh my God. I don't know, man. That's the one thing that makes me feel uneasy about the whole thing is that if it only took 1 month for you guys to get engaged, you guys had a that means you had an established prior relationship. So that's probably when
Mhm,
we were married. So you were
mhm,
probably cheating with this person. And then,
mhm.
once we were divorced and, we've moved on, you were like, okay, I'm gonna go back to you. And she was like, yeah, I'm gonna go back to you. And then, oh, we're engaged. Like, no, you don't know somebody in a month. Okay. And when you know, you know. No, y'all knew. Okay, y'all knew from beforehand. This ain't. Yeah, I don't like it. I would,
Well,
even
So
if I was married. I
as
don't know.
far as the show, it's a TV show because there's other information and bloggers of course that talk about it and supposedly, well, for those that don't know, Portia is part of the Atlanta Housewives series on Bravo, and a lot of these
Okay.
situations are staged and manufactured, and supposedly she had some type of
Hmm.
relationship with the divorced couple, and it was seen vacationing with them and hanging out with them. But as some other people pointed out, that a lot of these relationships are staged. They're not really. They're just barely associates, and they kind of build a story around them so that they have something to film for the show. Because Portia herself noted and said that she is not best friends with the ex-wife. She was not. They were never really best friends. So it may seem that whatever relationship she had was purely for publicity for the show, to build a storyline for the show, and then somewhere down the line, this relationship grew out of that. And from her own life, Portia, like her own real life, she very quickly had a relationship with her now baby father. They met and turned around very quickly, got pregnant within months, and so it could be very much a head over heels type of thing again. Just going back from just looking at that previous relationship as an example. So we never really know, but going back to just purely hypothetically, if I would be upset with an ex, it's weird. It depends on how deep
It's
the
weird.
relationship
It's
is.
definitely.
If it's an ex like your little high school dance prom date, then of course I could care less. It's like whatever. This was baby love.
Exactly.
But if this
Yeah.
is someone you had a deep relationship with and possibly was married to at one point, and the both of us, you have a close relationship, at least with me, by proxy of me, now you know him and now you're with him. That's weird, and that's a violation. And I think, you know, I've been in sticky situations unwittingly, and it's like, why? There are too many people on Earth to be going close
Right?
to the same well. Like,
Yeah,
y'all better
man.
have that crazy Romeo and Juliet kind of love where where it's worth that kind of drama and scrutiny. So I just don't think it's in good taste. But people do it. People mess around with friends. I mean, I'm not condoning that in any way.
Right.
But yeah, I think go date outside of your street. You know what I'm saying? Date outside of certain social circles.
Exactly.
You don't have to all dip in the same well. It's very,
If it can be helped, then yes, please.
yeah. You couldn't
Yeah,
tell
and I
me,
agree with you.
you can't tell me there's no other human being on Earth. But I guess what they feel at the time. But yeah, I wouldn't do that. That's just too. You're asking for drama. You're asking for it.
Right. Absolutely.
Now, the reason what I felt weird about was where if they were talking during that whole time, were you flirting? Were you the reason why we broke up? Were you
Ooh.
talking behind my back? To my husband saying stuff. Were you getting my head clouded? Saying stuff.
Wow.
Getting me to start have a different opinion about you. So that's what where it makes me feel weird about the situation. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
in the video you can see that Portia looks like they're acquaintances, not real best friends. They're acquaintances. Because that's like it looks like that was the first time she even was in the person's house when they first met, you know. So it's like if you are real friends, you've met at least once or twice. You've been to my house,
Hung out.
you've met my significant other one time. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? So I do see what you're saying, Nikki. Where yeah, some of these relationships are staged. They're brought in to bring that drama. Um, and if I'm not mistaken, she has a spin-off show. So that could be,
Yeah.
one of the
It's a lead
appeals
up.
to get people to watch that show
The
as well.
storyline.
Yeah,
Mm.
and then because just like you were saying, they give these people backstories. They make you feel involved, like you know these people, like oh yeah, they've known each other for 15 years, but yet they've only that's the magic of editing. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? You could you could do anything. So I definitely agree with you.
It's weird. Like
Okay,
some
so
of these people really do. They don't. They're not best friends, but they've had roots that go back decades. Like the Love and Hip Hop women. There's pictures of them like almost in the
Mhm.
'90s together at the same parties. So it's like they know
Oh
each other. They
wow.
fraternize
Okay.
with each other to a certain extent, but who's BFFs with who, you don't really know. But they know each other because they run in the same circle a lot of these times. Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
one thing I wanted to go ahead and mention that we have to go ahead and consider with these types of situations is that even though we might go ahead and not like it, I think in the situation, if you look at it, you get to see the potential partner and the worth and value of that partner while it's happening. So for example, you know you might be that outside friend and you looking at this relationship and you see the value in that person, and you're like, dang, yo, I could really make something happen with this person. If they was with me, we could do things, we could go farther than what they doing over here.
Mm.
And they already upset, or this they already mad at each other. It don't look like it's gonna work anyway, so let me make my move. And in that case, then I think that that's something to also consider. And you can't really be mad if the relationship's up. If time's up, then time's up.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And if this person was looking at y'all from the outside, and you wasn't doing your job as the spouse, then it's bound to happen.
I think that
And you always have to move like that. What's
no,
that?
I'm saying, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut in. I think it's a little different.
No, go ahead.
If that person's in the mix, it's like an outsider, somebody who's just a casual friend. They come to your barbecue like once or twice, even though that's still scandalous.
Hmm.
It's not the same as somebody who's like
Hmm.
my kid's godmother, who's now my kid's stepmom.
Oh my god.
You
Oh.
know, And
Sick
the
to my
way they
stomach.
framed it,
Oh
to
god.
get that clickbait, like her best friend joined at the hip, just got betrayed, and she stole over
Mhm.
her husband away. So, but I think it's a no
I think
brainer.
for the show that right for the show, I think they're gonna definitely gonna play that and then do that
Yeah.
clickbait. But there have been real scenarios that have played out like that.
I'm
Where
sure.
girls have been friends for
Mm.
years, and all of a sudden she makes a move on the husband, and now they married, and now it's a
Mm,
problem.
mm.
How do you deal with that?
It's, uh,
So,
it's just not good.
Alexa, play "Beat It." That's how you deal with it.
Word of
Look at
advice:
your knife.
well, so
Take Kata's goddamn bandana around you.
it doesn't end well. Just don't do it, man. Just don't do that.
Yeah,
I mean, so
that's
so so what happens to that relationship, that
It's
friendship that
done.
was there? I mean, obviously, uh,
It's
it's
done.
done.
so
Yeah.
so what happens? So now I'm the ex-wife, right? I have kids with this husband. You're gonna
Oh
see me
nah.
still,
Oh
right?
nah.
So let's throw this into the situation. You have kids, you're gonna see them now. You have to deal with the husband. You have to deal with the wife because you want to make sure your kids are safe. You want to make sure they're not doing nothing wrong. You want to make sure that there's a loving house and stuff like that. So how do you deal with coming over? You have to see this person to come pick up your kids. If the court is built like that. So how do you
That's
feel?
awkwardness forever, and I've never seen stuff like that.
Fact.
I've seen I know of situations like this personally, and the kids always bear the brunt of it. Always.
Right.
It's not worth it. It's not. If you love your kids, yo, wait to move away. Wait to the point where you don't need to interact with that person because it'll never be clean. Like unless you have a sister wife situation, unless that ex wife had her own
Mm-hmm.
side boo and didn't give a damn, it's never going to
Mm-hmm.
be a nice clean situation. There's always going to be tension. I've seen it with kids, and it's not fair to them. There are just certain things, certain taboos. Is like y'all better be moving the planets and stars for this relationship because it's not almost not worth
And
it.
that's another reason. That's why I don't think that whole sister wives, you know, polygamy thing could work because look at this. This is just two people,
Yeah,
you know? And you want to be like, "Oh, well, even if you knew about it, you're not going to like
yeah,
it." Cuz Reg brought up the point where it's like, "Oh, well, he's going to have to spend more time with one person than the other one.
mm,
There's only so many hours in a day. How you going to divide your time and then you're going to be like, you were with Cassandra, about 2, 3 hours. But it's like, yo, come on, man. What do you want me to do?
yeah.
It's like, hey, this is your idea. You're in it. You're in it or
Oh,
you're not in it.
yeah. Polygamous relationships is like true polygamy, as far as I can understand it, is like when everybody deals with everybody, as in the wife belongs to the wife and the husband, or the two husbands belong, however their setup is. Everyone belongs to everyone.
Hmm.
Then it's like, okay, y'all are
Hmm.
truly in a polyamorous situation. Otherwise, it's just one dude that has a whole, he brought all his side relationships together for logistics, and it works. That's what a lot of these things are. Maybe that's not true because it to me that's the only way, because like I made that example is like if you have five graduations to go to, five different households, you're gonna go to all five. No, you're gonna be uncle dad to
Exactly.
four of the other kids. It's,
Right.
In those kind of relationships, what tends to happen is that and I think we stated this in a previous cast, there's definitely a pecking
yeah,
order, and and not only just a pecking order. I think individually, people understand their dynamics. Like for example, you might have a different kind of bond with each person.
Hmm.
So your bond with the one person might be just, hey, we initially, decided this one partner A was good at raising, a family, and we're good there. We can have that structure. Partner B, we're good romantically, and we do things together, and we enjoy each other's company, and we talk. Partner C could be, hey, um, This is just sex, and
And is
you
that really
know,
a partner?
but with our powers combined,
Right.
you know, little Captain Planet,
Look,
right?
Captain
There,
Planet,
but
exactly.
we can make it work.
Damn, that would suck to be the sex wife.
Yeah.
You just stay in the room
Right?
all day.
Like
Would it?
Would it though? Would
he's
it? I
waiting
mean,
for
I'm
you
thinking
him.
pretty
I'm
much
thinking
need
in
to
terms as a
stay the
woman is like unless that's what her vibe and that's all she about. It's like, oh, so you can't talk to me about your guitar collection? You talk to my me about it and I just got to do the nasty stuff all night?
Complete
Mm.
objectification.
I'm
Like, yeah,
just
no, I just
I'm just
use
a
you.
doll here.
You're a thing.
You don't even know my name.
Living doll. Mookie, Melinda, whatever the
Come
hell.
here.
Come here.
Well, you know what? Think about it the other way. Think about the other partner. You know, hey, I'm just good enough just to raise the kids, and you get up in the middle of the night, you go over to, partner B, and then and you hump all night long. I'm not good
Never
enough
thought
for
about
that.
that.
And then the guy's like, no, you're not.
And see, that's when she has to have her
No, let's
own
just
play
raise these
friends.
kids. I'll see you in the morning.
She needs to get her own side husband.
Wow.
And a lot of them do. And a lot of them do that. I don't know how comfortable I feel with any of that either.
That's
But
what I'm
It's
saying.
illegal in South Africa now,
So
or
much
they're working on it,
emotion, man.
working on letting women marry multiple husbands.
Oh
I saw an
Oh,
yeah.
article like
really?
that.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it is only fair. I
I
mean,
don't know,
So
man.
is the dynamic
who
over there different?
It's only
Is the
fair.
dynamic over there are the I mean, because here, just recently we just seen a difference in women's power. They have the power to be able to, work, be independent. Like this is something that's I'm not gonna say new, but this is more of the new wave where they don't have to take what the man is doing. They can leave. So in Africa, is that dynamic the same over there? Are they more in the power, or like you just don't see or read articles like that on the
West
daily?
Africa is
I don't think we even have
very
that
West
here.
Africa has a dual system going on. It's very Western because of um in Western colonization from Holland, and then it also has traditional tribal history, tribal culture, excuse me, from the original people that were there. So now you got a mixture and a clashing of the two. But for the most part, in South Africa, now I think this article is based on in I'm not sure if it's Johannesburg or one of the other major cities, but for the most part, it's gonna depend on the household. Some follow traditional uh, animistic culture. And maybe it's not animistic, that's more like the religious stuff. But some follow more traditional tribal culture
Mm.
that was originally there. Some have a blend of the two. There's a huge Asian population in South Africa. So they're very much a mixed dynamic like in the US. But overall, in general, they still follow traditional gender roles like we do in the US for the most part. But with the exception that polygamy, I believe in certain, at least in certain places, is legal. So now that for men, so now they're introducing it for women.
Women, nice, okay.
It's only right, you know.
I think it's
So
fair.
you equality. All right, you want to marry two people? All right, I'm gonna marry two people myself. All right, hey.
Hey, she can have a dude to mow the
Because you
lawn
guys
and the
still
other
don't
one
believe.
to watch soap operas with. I mean, if you're gonna divide them that way,
Zach's a bit more
yeah,
sensitive
yeah.
than
He's
Tony,
fun.
so
He's fun to
we,
talk to. No, I'm too lazy. That's two men that's asking me for food. I can't. Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm.
Okay, that was great. Now we're going to go into our hypothetical question here. This is a question where we're going to ask if you can go back into time and give your parents advice, what would you tell them? I want to go ahead and, I want to leave this open. Go ahead. Anybody's open to start.
Hmm.
Hmm,
Stay in Brooklyn.
it's kind of rough.
Stay in Brooklyn. Stay in Brooklyn and and,
Yeah.
and learn stocks.
Why would you say that? And learn stuff.
Hell yeah.
Mm.
Learn about them stocks.
Uh,
Stay in Brooklyn.
oh, that's a good
Well, I
one.
mean, I don't regret
Why stay in
I don't
Brooklyn?
regret Long Island at all. I mean, that was part of my childhood, but
Hmm.
what it has become now to own property there and to have taken advantage of
Yeah.
some of the properties there at that time when they were still available to buy, that would have been amazing for them. As far as
Mm,
assets wise, though they did very well for themselves, you know. Like, oh, stay in Brooklyn, man.
absolutely.
Stay in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Stay in Brooklyn. Don't run. Don't go and pay Long Island taxes. Stay in Brooklyn.
Mm.
Yeah.
What about you, Funzi? Go ahead.
I think mine would be something similar. Because now being back in New York, like when I'm speaking with my mom, she's saying like, yeah, if I had known, of these other places in New York aside from the ones that, other relatives were living in, I probably would have stayed or at least bought something there to where it would have appreciated in value to where, you know, and it's like, yeah, I mean, of course, I don't regret, me and my siblings, we had a great childhood. We grew up in Florida, and Florida was a nice family environment and things like that. But having to do the annual or biannual New York trip or Miami trip to see, it's like it would have been nice if we were all concentrated in one place to where it's like, oh, go spend the weekend with your cousins. And, it's like, man, that I really would have liked that. Plus, they would have ended up keeping, some property and could have sold it and made a bunch of money. Wouldn't have to, so that's always a good thing too. So, but of course, my parents did well for themselves as well. I'm proud of them, so of course.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So for me, it's a little different. The money part or where they moved was is not a big issue. I liked where I grew up.
Hmm. Hmm.
The difference was I think I would have told them, the career paths that were open to me, they should have been more
Mm,
open to them. You know
flexible.
what I mean?
Hmm.
More
Hmm.
flexible, yeah. You know what I mean? Because I did come in with some good, career ideas that would have, still, made me money. Because like I wanted to be a pilot at one point. I
Hmm.
was ready. I had the classes ready. I wanted to do the hours, and then they were like, "Oh, at one point it didn't make money." And then later on, I was like, all right, fine, whatever." I changed my not gonna say I'm gonna change my passion because I love my working with computers, but being more flexible on that where it wasn't just the three top jobs a lawyer, a doctor, and an engineer.
Engineer.
You know what I mean? every Caribbean household goes by those three. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of
Mhm.
good things. There's carpentry, there mechanics and stuff like
Blue
Absolutely.
that.
collar job.
Electricians,
Yeah,
plumbing, there's things you can eat. Yeah. Like these
yeah.
trade jobs, they're
Yeah.
great,
Mm-hmm.
but at the
Mm-hmm.
time, of course now in hindsight, they're like, oh yeah, no, we wanted you to eat. Yeah, you wanted to eat and then, look good for your friends too. Let's keep it a buck.
that boast
So it's like
that
Part
boasting
of it,
culture.
yeah.
you try to,
Agreed.
what I'm saying?
Agreed.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
absolutely. And,
Okay.
sometimes that can be detrimental.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I agree. So, Reg, what would you have? What would you go back and do?
Oh man, if I could, and while you guys were talking, I sat and I thought about it. One of the things that I felt that I definitely would have to address would be telling my parents, "Hey, let the kids grow.
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
Allow them to grow. Allow them to be kids. Don't live in the fear." Um, you know, Within Haitian culture, there's always this fear, especially for those, they when they came over here, they were young, they were immigrants, and they were raised very strict, very hard, very, rough, and in a lot of fear. And they brought that and gave that, I felt, to me and you, DB, um, which kind of stifled the growth
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and the advancement. For example, yeah, they wanted us to do well, but at the same time, they were afraid of a lot of the societal things that were going on. So we were held back from a
Mm-hmm.
lot of things that we could have gotten involved in. For example, I wanted, I was interested in law, and I ended up going to a law magnet,
I
and
remember that. Yeah.
and I was very much deep into it, and I was really good at it, within the class, but it required me to stay after school or to go on trips and to other cities, in some cases other states, and it was a fear. And no, we won't do that, we can't do that, no way, you're not going. And I was like, how
Hmm.
you expect me to grow and be a lawyer and get involved in these things and move forward if you immediately stifle me from
Hmm.
doing that? and you
Mm-hmm.
holding me back from experiencing that. And in many cases, as the years went on in high school, where I was given those opportunities or even asked, I would turn them down just because I already knew what my parents were going to say.
Right.
Right, right.
Mhm.
And ultimately, it held me completely back mentally.
Mhm.
So, I kind of abandoned the idea of even going that route. And, it hit me the other day. I was just cruising online, and there was a classmate that I had, and I remember her from years past, same opportunities that I had. But I'm going to be quite honest, in high school, I was sharper.
Mm.
Mm.
But she worked her butt off.
Mm-hmm.
She's
Mm-hmm.
now a judge in
That's
Florida
incredible.
Wow. Wow.
with the same opportunities. The things that were, hey, Reg, you want to do this? And like, nah, I can't really do that. I'm good. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, man, my parents will let me go ahead and go do that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Her mom let her go do that,
Yeah.
Right,
pushed her,
right.
encouraged her all the way through. And I thought about, like, dang, man, I could have, if I had had that encouragement and that, that confidence back then when I needed it, that
Hmm.
push, who knows?
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
you know, I would tell my parents, hey, don't hold them back, push them forward. Hey, even just going to USF,
Mm-hmm.
it was a big deal. They didn't want me to go away. They're like, no, you can go to community college and you'll
Right
be just
here.
fine. How far am I going to go to community college? And at the time, the community college, we called it high school too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
BCC.
And it was, yeah, BC. And everybody went there for the first 2 semesters, and they dressed up like they were going to the club.
Hmm. I remember.
God.
And that's how it was. Everybody came in, brand new batch from high school. They dressed up. They were like, yeah, yeah. And then 6 weeks in, all those people were gone.
Gone.
Yep.
6 weeks in, and every semester was always the same thing. New batch comes in. 6 weeks in, they disappear. And I,
Hmm.
and, I- and I had to start out that way. And I was like, look, I can't do this anymore. I didn't even finish it there. I just went immediately straight to USF, and I had to fight for that tooth and nail.
Mm.
God.
So you know, that's what I would say.
Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm.
I don't disagree
Yeah.
with that.
That's
Enough.
Yeah.
yeah.
Enough.
I can see where some of the that fear that you talk about comes in, because now that as you say that, I recall some of these things where I didn't even bring some of the topics to my parents.
Because
You
you
know what I mean?
knew.
Because I already knew what the answer was. You know what I mean? And then just imagine
Mhm.
if I had, the little bit of courage to ask them for some of these things. Maybe they would have said yes, but I knew, I was pre-programmed. I already know what the answer is. Why am I going to waste my time? It's going
Mm.
to start a conversation. I don't want to sit here and, because that's one thing with the Haitian culture, I don't know what it is with those make you feel bad speeches for 30 minutes. That could
Oh.
be
Oh yeah,
rough.
it's
Like you could be doing more in your
intimidation.
life.
It's fear. Their main drive is to scare you out of moving forward, so that you do this thing and stay on the right path according to them.
Mm-hmm.
And a
Mhm.
lot of times it stifles your ability to move forward and do things and branch out. And it's really unfortunate, because there are, I've seen Haitian families, and that do encourage and do promote and push and motivate and encourage, and the kid turns out awesome and does great things. Now, not to say that I didn't turn out okay. I mean, yes, I
Mm-hmm.
did.
Mm-hmm.
But I definitely feel if I had that motivation and that encouragement when they were like, hey, we see that you're good at debate in class. We'd love for you to participate over the weekends, or, go out of state. We could really use you on the team.
Mhm.
That
Mhm.
could have led to scholarships.
Yeah. Bigger life
You know,
experiences.
when I was doing law studies, give you a bit of bigger life experiences, things I could have used or been, had with me.
Mhm.
I remember,
Absolutely.
as a teacher, when the first time I went to DC, I was on a trip, and I chaperoned. I was in my 30s. This trip is something that kids in many schools, they do at 9, 10.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Again, maybe if an election is happening and they get those experiences, but I'm sitting there just like the kids, like, wow, oh my God, look at this. This is amazing. Look, on all this stuff. And I'm paying attention, I'm taking notes. And that should have been me years ago.
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah.
But the fear, oh, I'm send you out? No way. I'm not sending you out with strangers and to go
Hmm.
here and with this money, forget it. No.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's where I'm at with it. But what I have noticed in the culture is that for Haitians that are here longer, I've noticed that they have definitely been doing more, and I've seen a lot more in terms of my students that are doing more activities and engaging more and
Right.
getting out there, and parents really giving them that opportunity. So I'm hopeful for the future for others,
Mhm,
but
mhm.
that's a bittersweet memory of my youth.
Yeah.
And to try to be a bit more in favor of what it is that how they raised us, and it's
Hmm.
keep in mind that this is pretty much the same thing in a lot of other cultures as
Right.
well.
Mhm.
So a lot of people who are probably listening to this can relate who aren't Haitian exactly.
Right, right.
But
Right.
a lot of that stuff really did shield us from some kind of harm, from potential harm. Like there's a lot of these weirdo teachers, who were waiting, for these the field trip
Young bright.
opportunities to be like, oh yeah, we're gonna. It's like
Mhm,
Ugh.
mhm.
exactly, yeah. I mean, but at the same time, that comes down to knowing who you're, you know, knowing. I mean, even then, they'll fear out of that one. They'll be like, well, you don't know people. I could have met the guy,
Right.
shook him, right, looking him right in his eye, which is true.
Mhm.
You don't
Right.
know who people are, but yeah, man, I
Yeah.
don't know. I want to say, a lot of that it did help, and
I don't know. For me, I was 5'9", I was 250 pounds, and I was regularly benching 400 pounds.
Oh.
So the weirdo teacher was not a threat for me. That was at that time in my prime, I was kicking back, and I could throw you across the room. The creep teacher was not my fear. I get it. You want to protect your child, but at the
right,
same
right,
time, you got to know your child, and
Yeah.
how much risk you can allow. I could see if I couldn't do everything. I understand. Hey, if this is $15,000 for this trip, then yeah, I
Yeah.
could get. All right, mom and dad, I understand that's too much. I
right,
can't do that.
right. Hmm.
But
Yeah.
if I'm coming at you and saying, hey, this lawyer has a competition that he has every year, and he could potentially have us down there, and this could lead to a scholarship, and all they want us to do is go compete and do this academic contest,
In a
then why
city
can't we have
not too
let it
far.
happen?
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and you could be there,
Hmm.
and that was
Hmm.
another thing
I
too.
was gonna say that.
Hmm.
The parent participation. Is one thing to say no, you can't. You can't go, but then why? And then you don't want to participate as well.
Hmm.
It's like, come on, man.
It,
And that tripped me out because my dad was a teacher for years. That tripped me out.
he didn't want to do no more.
I've seen
Yo,
enough classrooms and desks. So I'm sick of it.
I think.
that
Yeah.
it drove me nuts because I'm like, yo, you are in the education system, you understand it, you're there, you know how important and vital this is, but you do this for other people's children every day.
Mm.
Hmm.
You take children from the hood, you take them, hey, we're gonna go to Orlando, and we're gonna go here, we're gonna go to this field trip over there, we're gonna go ahead, and these are things that he planned.
Hmm. Hmm.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
then your own son says, hey, I have this thing I would like to do that could potentially lead to something bright in my future. No.
Yeah. That's that.
What were you gonna say,
Boggles
Nikki?
my
Go ahead,
mind.
That's that.
Nikki.
Mean. I think it's a combination of things. Like the fear is there for a second, but like you said, Reg, there's a laziness that they use as a cop out, and they just justify it with fear. It's like, well, you see, that kid, he went, and he went to Gainesville, and he didn't come back. You can go. And then they'll pull some stupid story like that. And it's not even that serious.
Or they know
Yeah, I know somebody.
somebody.
Yeah, they send them kids to some stupid dance thing. Next thing you know, he's missing. They found their shoes, and that's it. He's gone. And then and then that's it. That's what's gonna happen to every kid. So
The number one worst friend to a Haitian parent was having a
yeah,
friend.
friends.
Friends will get you
Yeah,
killed. Like,
Friends, you
friends
can't go to his
Yo,
house.
and
You can't have
I
no
didn't even have
friends.
like the strict.
try to go to the sleep.
facts.
Like I
Yeah,
don't know
right.
about y'all, but I didn't have the strict churchy Haitian family like them. But I know a lot of kids that had the three L's: the Liglies, Liquor, Lakai,
What to say?
and it was bad. But for us, for me, I was an introvert, but I do understand how parents can project their fears and insecurities and laziness,
Projection.
yeah,
Yeah,
onto their kids.
yeah.
And it's like, and I've seen that, like some parents, if they have some type of low self esteem within themselves from their own childhood, they'll project it on their kids. It's like, well, oh, this complicated thing, you can't do that. No, no, you don't fit for that. And it's like, no, that's your BS that
Mm,
you're putting on the kids. But sometimes people don't understand that that's what they're doing. I don't think they do it consciously, but
Mhm.
a lot of the
right.
times
Mm.
there's the negativity that they picked up in their lives from generational stuff that they just keep passing it down and putting that on their kids. So anything that's out of the box is like, oh no, that's craziness, that's ridiculous, you can't do that. You're a fool or something for even
Hmm.
wanting to do that. And in reality,
Hmm.
they are essentially holding you back. So yeah, it's the ability to recognize.
You brought up a
Wow.
good thing right there.
Yeah.
You brought up a good thing right there. You were talking about past generation, and then it's passed on. So you know that beatings is a type of way of controlling somebody for slavery to not do
Mm-hmm.
something, and then that was passed on to the culture. Whereas you beat your child, so the master won't have to beat your child for you.
Mm-hmm. I've
And
heard
then
that.
you won't get beat for that as well. Now that's passed on, and the time and times that they would I'm not saying just parents in general, just parents in general, you know what I mean, they that would hit their child, you know would be just so that they're protecting them, but at the same time you're scarring them, you know what I mean.
Mentally.
um it's like, yeah, mentally, because I'm not gonna say every beating was deserved, you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean,
Hmm.
but at the same time, I can understand they're trying to teach you life lessons as well, but there is different ways to go about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We didn't really have those talks, you know what I mean? It was kind of more of a, why are you not doing this? Not a, let me hear what's going on your side,
Mm.
let me, let's figure this out. You know what I mean? So that was the different types of conversations, that would go on. Yeah. But I generally, I don't have a problem with it. Me and my brother, definitely we have fun together. So it's always been fun.
Yeah, I try to catch
Yeah,
them.
there's a difference between disciplining and then just beating.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
raging out.
saying?
Yeah,
Like, exactly. Put an explanation behind the beating. Like,
Hmm.
kids don't just you know, oh, they drop something and then you just rush in the room and start beating them. I mean, that's kind of understood. Okay, I dropped something, I got in trouble for it.
Hmm.
But if it's something that they don't know and you're just beating them, like, tell them why. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
Like, I'm not saying have a whole discourse at it with a 3 year
and
old.
then
Like,
beat
okay,
them.
you see, the thing is, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, you know.
you know what's interesting when you say that?
Uh.
I think to my kids now,
Hmm.
and you know what? Every time I want to go ahead and be like, yo, let me just pick up this belt and just handle this.
Hmm.
I think back to Full House,
Mm. The
and
talks.
I try to the talks,
Mm.
the talks, and the in my mind that guitar solo goes on,
It literally went off in
yeah,
my head. I was like,
and I'm trying to explain,
The soft guitar music. You see,
yeah,
you heard us when he tell you. I'm sorry, Dad.
uh-huh.
Then they
yo,
hug, and then like they say something funny. Then they go eat
Yeah.
ice cream, and you're like, wait a
yes,
minute.
Yep.
What the
absolutely.
hell?
And you know what? And I know that I'm probably cheesy, and there are probably black people in the room, like Get out of here with that. No, I aim for that most
Mm-hmm.
times.
Hmm.
Mm.
And I try to do that because there were times when in my childhood where I wish I got that.
Mm.
You
Mm-hmm.
know, and I can remember one incident in particular. Oh my God, there was this day will live in infamy forever in my life. I will never forget it. It was in middle school. I had a teacher. The teacher left in the middle of the year. Don't know why, what happened, whatever. And we got transferred into this new teacher. New teacher didn't have any grades for us. So naturally, what a idiot teacher does is she just gave everybody zeros,
Whoa.
right, and sent us home. Yo,
Wow.
and at the time, we had those paper interims or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and those paper interims, she just hands it to you and say, "Here, take this home and get it signed."
Oh
Immediately, I started
God.
crying because I knew what that was. I knew I knew what that meant when I went home. That was a death sentence.
Damn.
So I just sat in school and got a zero. I didn't do anything. Oh, my dad was gonna kill me. And I
Poor.
remember that, and I was trying to tell this lady how bad this was or what this was gonna be, and she just looked and said, "Well, your parents can call and talk to us in the morning, and I will explain everything then." I was like, "By then it'll be too late.
I'll already be
I would
gone.
not have survived.
It'll be too late. I won't even." And I was bawling, crying in front of this lady
Oh.
in the class, and the class is just laughing. But I already knew what it
Mm.
meant. Yo, when I got home and I just sat there and I was just in fear the whole time. My father came home. I gave it to him. I explained the exact situation and told him. She said that you just have to call and she will explain to you what happened. This is not the real grade or anything like that.
Hmm.
And the teacher left, and that's the problem. Well, he immediately went into Hulk mode, and I remember getting beat so bad. I think my brother was in the room. My brother was watching it, and he started crying.
Damn.
God.
Damn.
Yeah, it was bad.
And it
Damn,
was
son.
crazy. Now check this. This is what I remember about it that really killed me. The next day, the teacher's like, "Oh, I found the grades. You had a 96."
Punch the air moment,
Oh
yo.
my God.
The undeserved
Oh
beating.
my
Ugh.
Now,
And they ain't
now
saying
check this
sorry
out.
to you
What
either.
subject was that? They ain't saying
No.
sorry, but
Mm.
check this out. The subject was geography,
Wow.
the same subject that I teach
Hey.
now.
Mm.
Wow.
Cycle don't stop, man.
Now, and
Cycle don't stop. That's
yo,
it.
and it kills me, yo. To this day, I never got an apology. Like, I'm sorry, that was probably too
Damn.
far. Nothing. And I didn't get an apology from him. I didn't get an apology from the teacher. But I had to forever live in that moment where I felt completely helpless. No one wanted to hear what I had to say,
Just
and I
because
was
of the
being
kid.
punished for something that I did not do.
The injustice of it.
Mm.
Mhm.
I'm
And I
telling
had to
you.
live with that. And
Yeah,
that
that's
was
heavy
supposed and I
stuff.
and not only did I have to live with that, I
It
had to
was heavy.
say, I have to say, I love you, I appreciate you, thank you, even though that happened to me.
Mm.
So, you know, I'm very careful to go ahead and try to have those full house moments because I wish that in my youth I got that. And and even with my sons now, I try to go ahead and make sure, sometimes where I feel like I don't want to hear it, I have to pause sometimes and be like, let me hear what this person has to say, and then come back in another way and try not to use violence.
Mm.
Emotional intelligence, man.
Yeah.
That's one
Mm.
thing. Like nowadays, of course, everybody's more wise, more hip to the game when it comes to that kind of thing. But back then, forget it. Fly right off the handle. What?
Mhm.
And then beating or
Beating.
Yes.
I don't believe you're lying. How do you know
Yeah.
I'm lying? I just said the teacher did X, Y, and Z.
Yeah. I have to catch
Yeah,
myself
because
too.
you're always the kid in their eyes.
And that's another thing from that comes from that culture that you were talking about, Derek. That kind of slavery mentality. It's like sometimes some things are not exactly rooted in that, but they're influenced. The culture is influenced by it because I believe in African culture too. There's a hierarchy between adults and children, and adults don't take orders from children. They don't placate kids. And I think that's I think
hmm
I think that's outside of European culture. I think that's African in itself to an extent. I'm not speaking for all of Africa, but I think that is a mentality that's common in many parts of Africa and in the Caribbean and the U.S. and so on and so forth. But yeah, like in Haitian culture, it's "Gamun barete avec Timon." You're not telling me what the truth is.
Yep.
That's
You're
true.
BSing me. So so there's this thing to really this
Mm-hmm.
authoritarian kind of relationship with parents and kids and and there, of course, on the one hand, it's to protect, but on the other hand, it's just like it's to show you, like, no, there's a hierarchy here. I take care of you. I don't take any BS from you, and that's how they operate with the kids. And sometimes I catch myself where I like to think I'm good towards my relatives, my little nieces, and sometimes I catch myself like scolding, and I'm like, wait, whoa, whoa. And they'll call me out. They're like, but Tati, I didn't do this, I didn't do that, and I have to take it back and realize, like, you know what, that's not helpful towards them. And that's not the kind of relationship, that's not the kind of interaction I want to have with them, talking down at them, even though they're little bitty babies, but still they understand that kind
Right.
of relationship, that kind of interaction, and it affects how they deal with other people too. So yeah, it is a thing, and that I don't know if everybody's gonna unlearn that or find healthier ways around it, but I think there's always gonna be a balance of that. And then you have that asshole kid that tries to, excuse my language, that you have that jerk kid that tries to test people too, and now they kind of push people to want to put hands on them. Never saying that that's the right thing to do,
Ooh.
but yeah, you got that too. But yeah, there's definitely in Haitian culture, yeah, gamun parite avec Simon kind of mentality, and that's still very much the standard, pretty till now.
Okay. I definitely like that. Everybody definitely had some good opinions, ranging from finances to just how you treat the kid. I definitely love all the conversation. And this is going to be a wrap for this podcast. Thank you for listening to episode 6. Go ahead. I'm your host, Derek.
I'm relative Alex, aka Funzy. Good night, everyone.
Nick signing off.
All right, relative Reg, take it easy, people.
All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in today. Always remember to like, subscribe, and then we will catch you next week. Peace.
Dude.